Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Lowell, Massachusetts, the birthplace of the American Industrial Revolution. Lowell became a city on April 1, 1836, with Dr. Elijah Bartlett as its first mayor. The population at the time was 17,633, and soon a court, jail, hospital, cemetery, library, and 2 town commons were established. Since early 1990s, the mills have been turned into housing projects. Lowell has been rebuilding for several years now and has since developed into a melting pot consisting of many different ethnicities. While the revitalization efforts and Lowell development plans have benefited some, they have also caused many problems within the city, especially for the poor and the immigrant communities. Given the makeup of the city and lack of representation for the poor and immigrant populations in the city council, the body that make local decisions, unjust development patterns are not surprising. Equal rights have been jeopardized to keep the rich in charge of the city. A community organization called CASA, Community Action Supporting Affordability, have been trying to fight this injustice for many years.
At this point, in terms of industrial history, textile mills would be run by water power. So they looked around the region for good water power sites, and they found Lowell, which had just recently completed the Pawtucket Canal in 1793. The early part of the 1820s, and they had built a number of textile mills here, and this number continued to increase. Of course, in order to run these mills, they had to bring people into work, and so thousands of people started to move to Lowell. Well, over the course of the 19th and the 20th century, the mill owners were trying to bring more technology in that would speed up production, allow workers to do more production, and they would do things like what are called stretch outs, where they put workers, maybe had been working on one loom doing some weaving initially. Eventually they go to 2 looms, and then 4 looms, and then 6 looms, just basically doing as much as they can to get more production out of a worker, because essentially paying them by the hour. There was a lot of competition between different companies. And this meant that they had a lot of incentive to try to cut their labor costs, and so there was a lot of tension and conflict between workers and the owners of the mills, and this sometimes produced big strikes, led the workers to organize unions, and by the early of the 20th century there were a couple different well-established textile mill worker unions.
The problem we are facing in the city of Lowell is that city officials are not being responsive to the needs of low-income residents in Lowell, of low-income neighborhoods. So resources have not been distributed throughout the city. The city of Lowell, city officials, they don't think about who needs the most. It's more, how can they get the most? Therefore, you will see so many homeless people in the city. You will see the lack of adequate public transportation. I believe that there is not enough of affordable housing, not only in the city of Lowell, but in the United States. The most powerful country in the world, the United States, have people living in the streets, under bridges, along the rivers. And if you go here in Lowell, the city of Lowell, you will see so many homeless people living worse than a dog can live in the city, begging for food, begging for a roof, begging for everything. And we are human beings. They are human beings. We all, in a sense, are immigrants, and we all have our human beings. We all deserve also rights and respect. So therefore, CASA is going to focus very much on affordable housing and immigrant rights. is critical for not just me or just you, just people who are in my neighborhood, but every single person in the city of Lowell must get their act together, must get organized, because that's the only way out. Getting organized and fighting back for our needs, our rights, for justice, for respect, for dignity, because we all are human beings. It doesn't matter whether you are Southeast Asian, whether you are Latino, whether you are African, people coming from all over the world with their own experience that can be shared among us. So now we have an opportunity here, and that opportunity is that we just created or organized a community-based organization in the city of Lowell, and that's called CASA. We are developing an agenda that will focus on, one, affordable housing, advocating for affordable housing, making sure that people are not evicted from their homes. People, my next door neighbor here, she just lost her house. She has 3 teenagers, she lost her home, and they both, her husband and herself, they both work. She works in with a public school, and he works in a factory, and they couldn't maintain their home. We have to stop that madness happening in the city. And so we are intending with CASA to advocate for those people, but I can't advocate for you if you don't advocate for yourself. CASA is you. You are CASA.